Nicki Minaj, Beam Me Up Scotty versus Chance the Rapper, Acid Rap.
You hate, I know you. Listen.
Barbs?
I'm in very good standing with the Barbs until this comes out.
Brackets, complex brackets. Let's get brackets.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Complex Brackets. I'm your host, Brian B.Dot Miller, and today we're joined by head of urban music at Spotify, my guy, Chery. Carl, what's up, man?
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate you having me be the first non-celebrity on Complex Brackets. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now listen, you're instrumental in bringing us music the way we consume it today on DSPs, but before then, it was the blog era. We had Kendrick, Cole, and Drake emerge from that space. How would you describe the blog era?
It's the transition from physical to digital. When you look at magazines, you used to work at Double XL,
That's
so you
right.
know firsthand, and also television to digital as well. So I think it's one of the most significant shifts that we've had to deal with in hip hop history. Also, when you look at the music, if I look at these mixtapes, they range from 2008 to 2013.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a sweet spot in the music evolving from traditional rap to rap incorporating melody as a standard practice.
Bet, so you down to help us crown the best blog era mixtape of all time?
Yeah, let's do it.
First up, we got Kendrick Lamar, Overly Dedicated versus Meek Mill, Dream Chasers 2.
I have to go with Kendrick.
Go on, Kendrick.
I gotta go with Kendrick. The reason I'm going with Kendrick is that I've spent more time going back to OD than Dream Chasers in the last 10 years. So it's easy for me.
All right, Kendrick Lamar, Overly Dedicated, goes on to the next round. All right, next up, we got Wiz Khalifa, Kush Orange Juice versus Currency and Wiz Khalifa, How Fly.
You know, when I think of the blog era, one of the things that was interesting is that we had transitioned far from the demo phase, and mixtapes were that was the vehicle where artists were getting discovered. And I think one of the challenges for the blog era artists was to, once they broke through on the mixtape, they had to make sure that it translated once they made a major label debut. And I think there's a world where Wiz could have harnessed what he did on Kush and OJ and made, become more of a album artist instead of a
Wiz
hit
Khalifa's
maker.
became an album artist?
He's a hit maker. I think he's a hit maker.
Nah, I mean, he's a hit maker and an album artist.
Calling someone a mixtape artist sounds derogatory. It is not. But his best bodies of work are mixtapes.
I would agree. I think this is his best project today.
Across everything.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, so
okay.
Kush and OJ.
All right, Kush and Orange Juice slides to the right. Next up to bat, we got Mac Miller Kids versus Big Sean Detroit.
Rest in peace, Mac Miller.
Yes.
I have a soft spot for Mac. Like, I posted cruising on the banger section of Double XL, like when he was still in high school. Like, so I think Detroit is just.
Detroit was.
You gotta go with Detroit. And that was a very special time for Big Sean, because that was happening on the heels of Mercy being a hit and the Cruel Summer compilation coming out, and Click.
Yeah.
Which, was, really a moment where Big Sean was leveling up. So gotta go with Detroit.
Yeah, I remember when Detroit dropped, everyone thought that should have been the album.
Facts.
Right.
Facts.
All right, Big Sean Detroit moves on to the next round. Now, Carl, since we're talking about some of these classic mixtapes, what do you think it's gonna take for some of these joints to get on the streaming platforms?
Over time, what you're seeing, because streaming has become so much bigger, you're seeing like Kush Orange Juice, you're seeing Dream Chasers 2, Beam Me Up Scotty came out on streaming services last year. Detroit just finally, was released on streaming services. What happens sometimes is that they don't, this is not inside information, this is speculation, right? But what happens sometimes is I think maybe they can't clear something specific and they just don't
touch it.
Right? Nostalgia Ultra, I know we're talking about hip hop, but Nostalgia Ultra, like every time I bring up the fact that I want that on streaming services, people say, good luck clearing the Eagles.
Oh, right.
Right?
All right, bet. Let's get into the next matchup. Nipsey Hussle, Bullets Ain't Got No Name, Volume 2 versus Big Crit. Crit was here.
Man, shout out to Johnny Shipes.
Johnny Shipes says.
Shout out to Johnny Shipes.
This is something you
This
need
is
to
Shipes
hear.
versus Shipes.
This is Shipes versus Shipes.
Yo, shout out to Shipes. Gotta go with Nip. And, I was thinking about how influential the West Coast sound was in the early 90s, right? It was so influential that you would hear that sound on R&B songs or songs from other regions. And a good example of that is Criss Cross Jump. So I thought it was clever for Nip to go back and sample jump and, you know, make it more current at the time and like give it a harder edge, because obviously like crisscross with kids when they put out that song. But I gotta go with Nip, man. Rest in peace, Nip.
Nip Hustle Volume 2 goes on to the next round. Next to bat, Tyler the Creator Bastard versus Nicki Minaj, Beam Me Up Scotty.
Tyler himself would probably say that Bastard is not that good, and you will hear some of it on the Rap Caviar docuseries coming out very soon on Hulu.
Okay.
Because Tyler talks about his early discography. But you gotta remember at the time, like 2009, there was a drought where there was no female rapper around. Trina was one of the only ones holding it down.
Yeah.
And Nicki ended that drought, and we got a new rap superstar who so happens to be a woman, so you gotta go with Beam Me Up Scotty.
All right, Beam Me Up Scotty. Queens.
Yeah.
Beam Me Up goes on to the next round. Now we have Chance the Rapper Acid Rap versus ASAP Rocky Live Love ASAP.
That was a special moment. Like, piggybacking off Nicki, it wasn't only the arrival of a female rapper. There was also like music was moving away from New York.
It was.
So in Nicki and ASAP, we got two new superstars. What was interesting about ASAP, obviously, is like the Houston influence. So
Purple Swag.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And it was the introduction of New York artists not sounding traditionally like New York
they're from New York, right?
Although obviously you hear him talk, you know where he's from. But I gotta go with Acid Rap.
What?
I gotta go with Acid Rap. Listen.
I thought you was going ASAP.
Listen. This is probably the tightest matchup in round one for me. I gotta go with Acid Rap. You have to understand what that did for independence. All of these other guys were either signed or had a breakthrough mixtape that got them signed.
Okay.
This started a bidding war, and he held his own, he held his ground, he had a mission, and he stayed independent.
So you stick with Acid Rap?
Gotta go with Acid Rap.
God damn it, Carl. Chance the Rapper goes on to the next round. This is a tough one. J. Cole Friday Night Lights versus Wale, More About Nothing.
I'm gonna get in trouble for this.
This is a tough one.
It is not a tough one. We gotta go with Friday Night Lights, J. Cole. I shouldn't have said that. Wale is definitely gonna subtweet me.
Yes.
Or call me. Listen, I'm a big Seinfeld fan. I always loved what Wale did creatively with that.
I cannot believe you are not in the top 10.
Jerry, it's fine.
Who the hell is on this if you're not on it?
Jay-Z Magna Carta.
Who is Jay-Z?
But I was listening to Friday Night Lights this morning, and like the nostalgia just came back. I think part of it for me is emotional connection. It's like, man, it smells like the vlog era when I listen to some of these songs. But I think all of these are timeless pieces of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we sticking with Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights, J. Cole slides to the left. And for our last matchup in the first round, Kid Cudi, a kid named Cudi versus Drake, So Far Gone.
Cudi was very much so more of a rapper at the time. And I know Day and Night is melodic, but it's not that melodic on the melodic spectrum when you think about where things are now and the music that he came out with.
At the time, it sounded like, you know, like this guy was fucking singing.
Right?
You know, but it sounds normal now.
But I think we forget, like Nas on AZ Gimme Yours, like that's melody. Junior Mafia, Players Anthem, that's melody on the hook.
Right.
So there was a precedent for it, but I think these guys changed it more drastically, along with Kanye and Future as well.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be a tough out. I don't even know if I wanna go deep, because there's gonna be more opportunities to talk about it, because it's gonna keep going. So Far Gone.
So Far Gone. I'm not mad at you on that. I mean, it's only gonna get tougher from here.
Facts.
So Far Gone goes on to the next round. And then we have our Elite Eight. Another admission that's off this list is some of the bigger names, like Lil Wayne. He had dropped No Ceiling. You had 2 Chainz, Rick Ross, Rich Forever.
True Religion.
Do you feel like those are blog era artists?
They're not blog era artists. They're artists who put out music during the blog era.
So they're not blog era mixtapes, in your opinion?
But they are, because they came out during that time frame. You know what's funny? I'm glad you said Rich Forever, because Rich Forever is definitely something I thought about last night. Stay scheming. Fuck them, like just so many. But what I like about this is that you exclusively have artists who were bred in the blog era. And that's the difference.
Okay.
Chainz is interesting because he was with Player Circle and was around with Disturbing the Peace, but his breakthrough was during the blog era. He was a vet, but he broke through later. So I think True Religion could have had like an asterisk like, next to it and like be part of this, but I'm not mad at making it exclusively about the kids at the time.
Okay. All right, let's get into our Elite Eight. Kendrick Lamar, Overly Dedicated versus Wiz Khalifa, Kush Orange Juice. This is your fault.
Yo, respect to Kendrick. I don't think OD's considered a classic.
I don't think it's considered a
It's
classic.
not considered a classic. Kush Orange Juice is considered a classic.
Yes.
But I've spent more time. Well, think about it. Kush Orange Juice came on streaming services later, right? We don't have, where are your Z-Share files? Like, where are you finding this music nowadays?
You had to go with datpiff.com.
DatPiff, you're right. You know what? I mean, I just said it myself. If OD's not a classic and Kush Orange Juice is a classic, I gotta go with Kush Orange Juice.
Okay. Wiz Khalifa, Kush Orange Juice advances to the next round. How about Big Sean Detroit versus Nipsey Hussle, Bullets Ain't Got No Name, Volume 2?
I think I have to go with Sean.
What?
No, I think I have to go. I know you love Nip. I love Nip too, but I think the impact of Detroit is more scalable. I think B.Dot,
would disagree.
we both knew Nip, right? But just put yourself back in 2012,
Okay.
and think about the momentum Sean had. Again, Mercy, Click. Moolah's a standout. That song with Juicy J and Chip the Ripper, like Finally Famous did well, but this put him on a trajectory to really, really level up. This was more of Nip's first breakthrough, because Nip has had a very interesting arc where he really grinded out, and there were moments that were a little bit more quiet, but he kept going. You know we love Nip, and we miss him, but
Yes.
I think I have to go with Sean.
Okay. Oh, God. Big Sean goes on to the next round. How do you feel about Nicki Minaj, Beam Me Up Scotty versus Chance the Rapper, Acid Rap?
You hate, I know you. Listen.
Barbs?
I'm in very good standing with the Barbs until this comes out.
No.
Listen.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this.
Well. So I contextualize both projects and their importance, right?
Right.
This is Nicki's breakthrough in terms of like what she did for female rap, her contribution to the void that there was in New York at the time. And this is Independence. This is a more critically acclaimed body of work. Whether you wanna, listen, if we were to look up reviews right now,
I don't know.
I think that Acid Rap was revered as a body of work.
But if you go back to Beam Me Up Scotty, right, think about the songs that were on there. You got Itty Bitty Piggy.
Love
you
it.
have Chirac, G Herbo. Like, I guess you could say the introduction to G Herbo in a lot of ways.
Chirac.
I just think that this project right here is what made Nicki Minaj, and you'd be remiss to pick Chance the Rapper over it.
I actually think this is more of a single-handed project that made Chance who he is. I think that there's a combination of things that made Nicki Minaj. This specifically did more for Chance than this did for Nicki.
Bold statement.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay.
But because I think Nicki added more. I'm not saying Chance didn't.
Okay.
But he went up to a certain point. They came back with the Surf Project and then Coloring Book.
So with all that being said, he's still sticking with Chance the Rapper, Acid Rap?
This might be his last round. We'll see. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see how far he goes. Chance the Rapper advances to the next round. All right, for our last matchup in the second round, Clash of the Titans. J. Cole Friday Night Lights versus Drake So Far Gone.
I think So Far Gone is the most transformative mixtape out of all of these for several reasons. You know, it's funny, there's less and less people freestyling over people's beats nowadays, right? He did it there, but the fact that he was influential in that transition, that approach to like make albums, like original beats, all that stuff. I mean, he's connected to that practice, like diminishing a little bit. And then when you think about the sound, it's not him single-handedly. You got to give credit to Cudi and Kanye with what they did with 808s. But you know, we were in a post So Far Gone 808 trap bubble for years. Like this might be one of the most dominant sounds we've ever seen. And it wasn't just in hip hop, it was in R&B, it was in pop to an extent.
So do you think this is where the sound of hip hop changed?
It was the dawn of it, because I think, you know, you look at everything, like him and Cudi, kind of the only ones doing melody. Well, Chance, because they came later. Like some of them came later, but it didn't flip right away, but it was the beginning.
Drake So Far Gone?
Gotta go with So Far Gone.
So Far Gone's going on to the next round. There we have our final four. All right, before we get into our final four call, I just want to ask you about some of these recent claims from artists being blackballed on DSPs.
Man.
What's your thoughts on that?
First of all, shout out to DaBaby and shout out to Arnold. He's the artist that really jump-started this conversation in the past week. former Complex alumni, DJ Academics, is at the center of starting this narrative. Go to DaBaby's profile page right now and watch his post with a screenshot of Rap Caviar. He was on the cover of it.
He was on the cover.
Watch his post saying that he was on Rap Life. How are you blackballed if you're on the cover or featured on the 2 biggest playlists in streaming?
Right.
I want to leave it there.
Is it Uchi Wally Wally or is it One Mic? Is that what you're saying?
I want to go back to these tapes.
Leave it at that. As we narrow it down, Carl, what do you think about Wiz Khalifa Kush Orange Juice versus Big Sean Detroit?
I gotta go with Kush Orange Juice. Detroit's a classic too, right?
I would consider Detroit to be a classic album as well.
But I feel like the Kush Orange Juice reference resurfaces more often.
Yeah.
I don't have much context into why it's Wiz. It just feels like the right answer, to be honest.
I feel like Wiz just found his groove. Like sonically, the songs just felt good.
I'm gonna use a term that's overused. It was a fucking vibe. It was.
It was a vibe.
It was.
Right.
Gotta go with Kush Orange Juice.
All right, Kush Orange Juice goes on to the final round. And for our last matchup in the 3rd round, Chance the Rapper Acid Rap versus Drake So Far Gone.
You're gonna get your wish. Chances out of here. I mean, I'm not even gonna waste time. Like really, like I mean, no. Like, he was gonna be a tough out from the beginning. I was looking to see who was gonna give him a run for his money, and it's not gonna be Chance.
Yeah.
But I think Chance, he's out of here. But Chance is another. I think might be second to Drake in terms of like the artist getting the most mileage or getting the furthest in his trajectory off of one project.
Post Drake?
Post Drake and out of these 16.
Okay, I think I can agree with you on that. So no chance in hell. Drake's going on to the final round, So Far Gone. All right, Carl, as we narrowed it down for the final championship round, Wiz Khalifa Kush Orange Juice versus Drake So Far Gone.
I'm gonna be real with you. It was So Far Gone from the beginning. I saw So Far Gone and I was like, who's gonna give him a run for his money?
I find it interesting though, when you go back and listen to So Far Gone, I remember telling Drake this in our interview, it sounds like he's doing a bad impersonation of himself because he doesn't even sound like the old Drake.
Yo, he doesn't sound the
It sounds like Drake's trying to imitate Drake, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, so it gotta be Drake.
All right, well, you heard it from Carl Chery himself. Drake So Far Gone is the best blog ever mixtape of all time. You know what? I ain't mad at you for that, man.
What's yours?
I think it would be So Far Gone as well. I think it was a game changer.
Right.
And it's an undeniable. Whether you're a Drake fan or not, you got to give the boy his credit.
And he's still around at the top of the mountain.
He's still doing his thing. Now, Carl, before we get out of here, you know, it's really hard to get noticed and cut through the noise and stand out. What is your advice for some artists that are trying to make this bracket one day?
Focus on the music, not the antics. Please. I think we've gotten into a space where people are concerned with going viral and other things, but I think good music always cuts through, and I think that's gonna be the case no matter the era, right? You know, we're having a lot of conversations right now about people not sticking. Bad Bunny is sticking. Making music.
He's sticking like
that
a motherfucker.
A lot of us can't understand, and he's just running shit.
Yeah.
He's music first. He's culture first. So just focus on the music.
Yo, I want to thank my guest, Carl Chery, for joining us on this week's episode of Complex Brackets and helping us crown the best blog era mixtape of all time. But what do you think? Jump in the comments and let us know, and make sure you check out the description below where you'll find a playable link to this exact bracket. Just make sure you share your results using the hashtag Complex Brackets on all social platforms. I'll catch y'all next week. I'm Brian B.Dot Miller. Brack up!
Let's get bracket.